Introducing here, first to my left, we've got Mr. Mark Dilley from Sauble Speedway. From Oshwegan Speedway, it's Clinton Jeffrey. From Brighton Speedway, Mark Rinaldi. From Oscar, Dave Gainforth. From Peterborough, it's JP Oziasi. Down there, we've got Gord Bennett from Full Throttle Motor Speedway. Alex Nagy from Jacassa Motor Speedway. Gary Collick, there he is, down there from Flamborough Speedway. And Brian Todish, the expert from Sunset Speedway on the end of the table there. Well, as we get things going, before we get into 2018, I thought let's look back on the year that was in 2017 and a lot of big years for all of these promoters. And first we'll start with Mark Dilley, the man right here, to talk about Sauble Speedway and a big change in the helm there and really a rebirth up at the beach.
Yeah, it was actually a surprise. It was like the surprise pregnancy. We didn't really know that we were going to have a speedway. We tried it in November, didn't get it, and then in June all of a sudden it came. We took everything that they had there and we kind of put it into a structure and just ran with it. But this year we're pretty excited. I got to tell you, we've aligned ourselves with Sunset Speedway with Brian and Sandra, and we have a great series coming. The Great Lakes Series is unbelievable. Alex has got a great series for everyone, the Super Stocks and that, and then Dave's good. I mean, we got everything going on. It's good. It's all good.
Everything really came together quickly for you guys because, I mean, Jason Tom was sitting here on the panel last year at Motorama, and then before we knew it, Sauble Speedway's got new owners. That happened quickly. How much of a scurry was it for you to get a schedule together and actually race? It takes a lot of work just to do it when you've got a full off season.
It was like being half pregnant. Either in or in the way. But no, you know what? It all worked out good. It was a lot of fun. Last year was like a learning curve. First night we had a great fight. It was awesome as a pits. It was unbelievable. It was like, you know what? All in all, it was good. We had a great time. And Paul, Brittany, everyone's done a great job. And we'll push forward. We'll be something to be reckoned with. It's going to be a good time. NASCAR's there now. It's going to be good. Our alliance with Sunset Speedway, Jacassa, Peterborough, Flamborough, everybody, we're all working together. It's going to be good. Short track racing is in the best shape it's ever been.
Well, we'll go down the line, and the king of live streaming, he's live streaming this event again this year. Clinton Jeffrey, my boss on Friday nights at Oshwegan Speedway. Clinton, talk about 2017. Biggest year ever, before we get into the news of 2018, the biggest year ever, biggest crowds ever for the Outlaws event. You had to be pretty happy with the way the season went.
Absolutely. That was neat. Well, absolutely, Greg. I got to say, for us, 2017 was our biggest year ever. We've had so much great stuff go on. To have Kyle Larson come up and pretty much sell the place out to the point that we ran out of food, we didn't have enough bathrooms, we were out of parking. All good problems to have as a promoter, and I think car counts are really up for us. And as Mark said, I mean, I think in the past 3 years on asphalt and dirt, we've come so far with the way we've all worked together, and I think a lot of it started last year at this panel. I think we're working harder with our sister tracks on the dirt, like Merrittville, Humberstone, South Buxton, Brighton. We've done some great things. Car counts are up across the sprint car world. 45 sprint cars in the crate sprints is what we're projecting this year for a division we started less than 5 years ago. It's been very good for us, and we're looking for another great season.
Mark Rinaldi from Brighton Speedway celebrating their 50th anniversary season last year. You've got all those extra celebrations. You brought in the World of Outlaws again. Another big night there as well. Talk about your 2017, which I'm sure was a lot of work.
Yeah, it was a pretty ambitious season to begin with everything we had scheduled, and then on top of that, with all the flooding we experienced all year long, and probably about 40% of our property was under the water until September. We couldn't use the south end of our pits until Apple weekend, which was at the end of September. So it was a tough year that way. But in terms of events and schedules and the way things went off, I don't think there was a big impact. We were able to make everything work, and some of our events, same thing. Yes, we had good events. Everything that we did that was a big event turned out to be a big event. You know, our 50th anniversary celebration night turned out to be great. We had all the 2 other past promoters there. a lot of old drivers came there. We did our Wall of Fame inductions and had the Oscar hot rods and the vintage club there to add to the nostalgia aspect, and it was a big success. World Outlaws turned out to be good again. Other than the exchange rate, everything was real positive around that. The crowd was great. The racing was even better. We had a local guy, Charlie Sandercock, who put on a heck of a show for a few laps against the best in the country, the best in North America, and that really got the fans up on their feet. And yeah, it was a good year. Our Appenfest weekend again, ran out of camping and ran out of pit parking, and then our eve of destruction. I'm sort of contemplating doing school bus and trailer races every week, but it was, as you saw when you were there, Greg, we were turning people away at the gate, so it was a success as well. A lot of hard work, but a good year all in all.
Hey, talking about the flooding, and promoters have it bad, but Mark, half of his pits were flooded, and I remember being there every Saturday night, and there was this red van down at the very far end of the pits, and every week we kind of watched the water and the weeds grow up over, and eventually it got up over the side mirror on the van. You could just see the rooftop. So we were judging when things were getting better, the more and more each week that we could see in this red van, and Mark did a great job dealing with that, cramming so many cars in a pit area that had no space. You needed scuba gear to get to your pit area. Dave Gainforth from Oscar. Dave, big year for you, and one of the coolest new additions to the racing scene in 2017, I think, were the hot rods, the Oscar hot rods. We got to see them at Brighton on the dirt. That was a big year for you, bringing them in. Of course, you got the Pro Midgets also kind of picking up, gaining steam as well. Talk about your year.
Yeah, we had a really good year last year. We were lucky enough to help Brighton and Peterborough celebrate their 50th anniversary season. We put on 2 great, successful events at Cortland Speedway last year, and we're doing that again this year. Our car counts were up. Our new Pro Sprints, we rebranded them as Pro Sprints for this year, just so there's no confusion. The hot rods, it's finally taken off. Motors are patient with us, but it's definitely growing. The modifieds, they put on tremendous shows all year long. We were lucky enough to return to Sunset Speedway at the end of the years, so we were really happy about that, and we're really looking forward to a very exciting 2018.
JP Yoziasi from Peterborough Speedway, and JP, always big things happening down at Peterborough, of course. The Colors, the Autumn Colors Classic, always a crown jewel event, but you had some really good nights in 2017. Besides the ACC, talk about those.
Yeah, we did, as Dave just alluded to, we celebrated our 50th anniversary last year also, which actually we ended up doing over the course of the summer. We ran 50-lap events for all our different divisions. And our Labor Day show, when we do our championship run, we had actually a top 10 shootout for the top 10 in points after the features were done just for cash. And I think it's some of the best racing I saw all year because there's no points on the line. It was just first place was getting paid, and I think we're going to do more of those leading into this year. Besides that, all our events, the APC show, excellent show, and with Pepsi we do 3 tuning nights, and we don't have enough seats to get the people in the place anymore. It's just it's getting crazy, but it's great to see that many people out, and we actually get a lot more racers come out because they just love interacting with the fans when we put them on the front stretch on those nights. And overall, it was I think our best year to date. It's been 19 years with Peterborough Speedway now, and last year was our best year to date so far.
Gord Bennett, Full Throttle Motor Speedway, and Gord, you're entering your 5th year coming up as owner?
This is year 5 coming up, so last year was 4.
Where have the years gone? Since you've come in and taken over, man, the changes at that track, phenomenal. You've created an excellent brand there at Full Throttle as well. And I know you've been busy on the property talking about how your 2017 was on and off the track.
Well, we're always trying to improve what we do at Full Throttle Motor Speedway. But it's not just me, it's a whole team that I was assessed at the Speedway. And if you have a really good team with you, you can really do a lot of good things. So it's not just me. I'm the brainchild behind it, but it takes people to actually make it work. And that's what everybody at the Speedway does. As far as all the racing, our car counts continue to go up. I think 65% of the cars that race at our Speedway never raced before I owned the Speedway. So they're all new blood, or people that haven't raced in a long time, so, and the fans are coming back. Everybody seems to be having fun, and if you're having fun, it seems to be infectious, and that's what we want, is to have an infectious, fun time, because people are spending their hard-earned money. And a couple of years ago, we made a one-price admission, doesn't matter what we got, and that's what we stuck with, and it works for our area. It might not work for the other speedways, but for us, you come and it's the same price, week in and week out, no matter what we put on, and the fans seem to be receptive to what we do. So the races are, we pay well, and we try and get lots of people, and then we can go to sponsors and say, hey, there's lots of people come to our place, and can you help us out? And it seems to be working, and we'll continue moving forward in 2018.
Well, the guy that probably had the longest wait to get a race in at the start of the year was Alex Nagy, and he had to be chomping at the bit to get that first race under his belt at Jacassa Motor Speedway. Talk about the excitement of that first season at Jacassa.
It was pretty well last year at this time, Greg. We had one race scheduled August 26th, and I was sitting here thinking, I really hope we get done so we can have that race. So this winter's been a lot different, obviously, with getting most of the major construction over with. But yeah, it was quite a whirlwind. But credit to our fans, and Gordon talked about a team. We could have never pulled off what we did without a great team ourselves. And then, once we got it finished, we were supported by the competitors and the fans, and that's all you can ever dream for as a promoter.
Gary Collick from Flamborough Speedway. Gary, did you ride in any trunks this year? Anything wild that you did at the racetrack?
Yeah. I rode in the back of a pickup truck, 4x4. Not a good idea. Really.
Kevin Vesta from Stone Ridge wasn't there that night, was it?
No. It was a tough season. Got bounced around pretty good. People were wondering if I was going to fly out, but my track mom, Brenda Sheneman, she put me in line after. She said, no more, or I'm going to really call your mom. And then my mom did show up. That kind of put an end to it. We'll see what happens this year. We had a heck of a good year. We brought in a race director for Flamborough Speedway. He's been on Oswego, Doug Leonard. And we kind of pulled him in and told John that he's going to go around and kiss babies and shake hands. On Saturday, and when the track opens, it's Doug and my deal. And it seemed to work. Drivers were a lot happier. We built on some mistakes that we had, but this year it seems to be rocking and rolling pretty good. But last year was awesome. It was a good year. It was fun. We got all our races in. We had lots of cars.
That's all you can ask for.
That's all we asked for.
And you didn't get hurt.
I didn't get hurt.
That's the main thing.
That's perfect. I'll pass it off.
Brian Thomas from Sunset Speedway. Brian, talk about the year that you had up there, a busy season, and you wear many hats there throughout the year. Talk about 2017 at Sunset.
Yeah, Greg. Well, first of all, I want to thank Johnsonville for sponsoring the stage up here for us guys. They're good people that support Sunset. Yeah, we had a lot of stuff working last year. If it wasn't for the staff that worked together, and they do a lot of work making my wife and I look good. Sorry, Mike and I look good, and the cars were good car counts. We had good. The weather wasn't the greatest. We got through it. Brought Oscar on board, a few other things. This year we got junior late models. We got the Lucas Oil, APC a couple of times on our big weekends. Back with Oscar, we're working with Mark at Sunset with the Great Lakes. It looks good. We got a lot of excitement. I got my tuner cars coming 4 times this year. It's the first time I think they ever been at a racetrack. So we're looking forward to that on Sundays, and we got a jam-packed season. Yeah.
So we'll look at some of the news and notes that have taken place during the off-season and leading into this upcoming year. We'll go on Mark Dilley first here, and Sauble recently announcing that they are now a NASCAR-sanctioned track, home track, and talk about what that brand does, not just for the competitors, but for you as a marketing standpoint to reach out to fans in the area.
Well, it's a huge thing, obviously, for Brian and myself to work together between Sunset and Sauble, but the reality is, we need racers, short track racing fans, and everything. I don't care if it's dirt, asphalt. This is the greatest sport in the world. We need fans. I don't care if it's your racetrack, whatever we're doing, we need fans. The NASCAR thing's great for Brian and I. We're going to strategically align a thing, which is the Great Lakes Series, which is going to be amazing for both tracks. But the reality is, it's great racing, great entertainment, all the way through, whether it's dirt, asphalt. We need fans. We need fans. That's the bottom line. We need fans. Get her done. Let's go at her. How do we get fans? Right now. Sign up.
Well, I think what you've touched on there, Mark, is really that need to work together, like you say with Brian and that. And those are some of the news and notes that I marked down of some of the new things that have been announced during the off season. Clinton and Mark have been in on one of these things, like the duel on the dirt has been a great success for the street stocks on dirt, but now the mini stocks all getting the same rule package between Humberstone, Maryville, and Ohsweken. That creates now a duel in the dirt for that division as well, and really creates some exciting racing throughout Ontario. Not just at one track, this is my track and these are my cars. There's a lot of sharing and a lot of excitement there.
I think we've seen maybe 10 years ago to a point where all of us promoters thought if we share the cars, we're going to lose out. And I think in the end, the sport was the one that lost out there, because now what we've done, and I've seen it even on the asphalt, where like for a long time where you and I come from, the dirt motorsports, if you had a sportsman, you could run anywhere across 45 tracks in the Northeast, and that helps the sport grow. It's easier to sell a car, it's easier to buy a car, it's better to get invested into that series because you know you have a way out. And I think what we've seen on the asphalt world, it started with the APC series, which started to open up the dialogue with all them. Now you've got all these promoters working together. We've been very good on the dirt, and like you mentioned, Mark and I, and the other promoters, Maryville, Humberstone, and Buxton, we worked real hard to get everybody on common rules, and common rules adds to growth. And I think that you touched on it there. Now we've had a series with common rules for the street stocks at 5 tracks now. Now we're going to have the mini stocks jump up and join the duel on the dirt series. So common rules allows us to expand, and not just expand car counts, but now instead of focusing on bringing the rules together and how we're bridging these gaps, Mark and I are now spending our energy on how we're bringing corporate sponsors to this deal to help out the mini stocks, the street stocks, and things like that. So Mark's right, we need to work together. Everybody needs to get on the same page, and I think the pissing contest that you used to see in Ontario racing is over. I think I consider most of these guys my friends. You'll see us hanging out, talking about what's going on in all these places. You know, there's so many different things you can do out there to work together instead of working against each other. I think that's the biggest thing we've got. Mark's right. Short track racing is stronger than it's ever been in my 20 years in the deal. I think, and it comes down to cooperation and, you know, cooperation as far as rules and promoting. You know, working together is going to take us where we need to go.
Another announcement this week was made out of Brighton, obviously with the Northeast Late Model Alliance as well. Mark, you can touch on that. The amount of dirt late models now in the area, which is just come on here in the last 10 years. Talk about that relationship, what tracks are involved in, and how that benefits everyone as well.
Yeah, it was sort of it was actually based on a dual and dirt format where I know it's been successful. We've been doing dual and dirt for, it's got to be 10 plus years now. And it started with us in Maryville, and then the tracks grew, everybody got on the same page. And I just felt that we could do something like that with late models in this area too. Sort of build not have a full-blown touring series because that puts a lot of strain and stuff on drivers and cost, but just do something that encourages drivers to go out and travel to one of the other local tracks on the odd occasion or on the odd basis where it's not too taxing for them, where they're racing their home track plus 7 or 8 tour events or more. So it was really based on the dual and the dirt format. It started with myself and Dave Bittner, who's taken over the Humberstone, and Corey Reed. I've always had a real good relationship at Fulton. We were sort of the first 2 tracks in the area to go with late models, in the traditional dirt modified world here, right? So, and then, Genesee's been fairly successful in the last few years, so we got them involved. And when you look at us on the map, it's sort of like the 4 points of Lake Ontario. So it is a bit of a haul, but the guys only got to travel to one of those other tracks once. So it's not like it's a strenuous travel schedule on the drivers, but I think it's going to allow us to all build events around this little alliance that we have, where we're all on the same rules, we're all working together, having races that are extra paying races for the drivers, but still affordable for the track promoters and in our kind of control. And I think so far the feedback, it just came out this week, but the feedback's been fairly positive, I think. So.
Another series that was announced, and Mark's talked about this, between Sobel and Sunset. Brian Tonish can touch on this, the Great Lakes Concrete Series. Talk about what that does for both tracks, not just you and Sunset, but what it does for the drivers, for both tracks, for the brand.
Well, I think what it does is it gives them an opportunity to run for NASCAR points and make it competitive for the guys like Parker and Gordy Shepherd at our track. And I think it's good. It's good for racing. I think it's good for the fans to see the best of the best race. That's what I think that's going to do. And between Mark and I and Sobel and Sunset, I think we're on the right direction. I really do.
And also announced this offseason, the Ontario Super Late Model Series, which is another exciting one. And JP, I know you've been heavily involved in that. We talked a bit about it this afternoon, but getting all the tracks on board to try and get this all figured out has to be a lot of work, I'm sure.
Thanks. It was a team effort. Like we just as track promoters, we've been working closer together over the past years and taking the sport in the direction it needs to go. And it just came up at one of our meetings, and how we had to, what we were going to do with super lates. Some of us were supporting Oscar, other ones other tracks were doing their own show, and I think we were all in agreement that whatever was going to be done, it all had to be the same between all the tracks. So for that reason, it just sort of took the Oscar model of rules and everything, and worked with Dave, sort of that we were going to transition and take it over. Just super lates have been the backbone of racing, and they have a lot of history back in Biederman and Hanley days, and we wanted to do whatever we could to continue super late racing in this province, and hopefully this model is going to do that.
Dave Gameforth, we'll let you join in on this conversation, obviously with the Oscar super late models and all that's come from there in the past. What's been your angle on this situation?
Well, quite honestly, it's no secret car counts have been an issue for the super lates the past couple of years. I had some preliminary talks with most of the promoters here in the off-season before they had their meetings, and at the end of the day, we need to do what's best to keep super late models racing in Ontario. The fans love those cars, whether it's under Oscar banner, under the new banner, it doesn't really matter to me. I just want to make sure that those cars are out there racing on the track for the fans in Ontario. So that's the most important part. I'm a fan of super late model racing. Oscar was founded on super late model racing. I'm just glad that the promoter stepped up and did this, and I'm hoping it works for them. I really do. Oscar is still strong with the three divisions, and we're still part of the show. We're going to be together three or four times this year with the Super, so I'm looking forward. I think it's a good thing for them, and I really do hope it works.
Flamborough Speedway a part of this as well, and they've had the Gold Rush 100 for the last few years. Gary, talk about the success of that event, how exciting it's been to have that event in really what has become a go-to date across the province. It's exciting when your track gains something like that.
Yeah,
Time's up.
Test. Our last year, it's his fault over there.
It's the steel plate in your head.
That's it. Our last year with the super late models with the Gold Rush was a great event. We pulled in a couple of American drivers. One was a real hot shoe. He came up and kind of spanked the class. And then he did a bunch of spanking over at Jacassa also. This year we've changed it though. We're going to go with our pro late models. We're going to do the Gold Rush, and we're going to make it on a Sunday to see how many we can get pulled in, and just something a little different. We wanted to, not that we're not happy with the super late models. We've got them there a couple times this year with our program, but we wanted to try with our pro lates, see how many pro lates we can pull out. If we can get 40 pro lates to show up for the Gold Rush, we'll see what the money comes. I'm still in talks with some companies to maybe put some more money and some funds up towards that, so it should be pretty good. But the Gold Rush is definitely one race that you want to come see. It's kind of cool and lots of stuff going on.
Well, as we get on to the topic of some of the big races that have been announced already, Jacassa Motor Speedway kind of stealing the headlines with their big burst with the Canadian Stock Car Nationals. Alex, talk about that big event. That's huge money that we haven't seen in this province in a long time, and we're already seeing some big names showing a lot of interest in this event.
Yeah, it's before we would open last year, being the Cayuga Speedway was always a special event. We ended with big events, and we wanted to continue that tradition. And our opener was a big event last year, but my owners and myself, we really wanted to, like the Gold Rush, it's important to establish traditional events. And so the Labor Day weekend show that you're talking about, Greg, the Canadian Short Track Nationals, is kind of continuation of what we started with our opener. We moved it a week later, and so on Saturday, September 1st, is the same show as our opener in 2017 with APC Series, where we had about 40 cars, and Outlaw Super Late models, where we attracted obviously the best in Ontario and from the US as well. So the interest from the US drivers for that portion of it is huge. And then what we've done is also on the September 2nd, the APC guys, the hope is they'll stay and become part of our Pro Late model, $25,000 to win on Sunday, along with a $5,000 to win Superstock race. So Sunday's purse alone will be about $150,000. It'll be over $200,000 for the weekend. So it's definitely going to be, we wanted to have Canada's biggest short track event. That's what we're going to have, from car counts to money paid to caliber of drivers. So, and it's not to steal the show, Greg, like you said, it's not to upstage anybody. Like we've all said, we're all working together on so many different things, and I think because we are, that allows somebody like us to be able to do something like that, where all these gentlemen here didn't schedule against it. They, let their Superstock guys either have the weekend off or the night off, or late model guys not race on Saturday so they can come and do our event. So, credit to these folks up here to allow us to be able to draw the maximum number of cars. And we went live with registration on Wednesday. I haven't checked today, but I know yesterday we were already over, I think, 25 people registered for late model cars from Eastern Canada, Nova Scotia, and Prince Edward Island alone, which is exciting. And we've had a bunch of interest from the U.S. as well, with Bubba Pollard and a bunch of different big hitters from down there. And, listen, most importantly, our Ontario in-area drivers, which is going to be, make up most of the field. And so for us, it's exciting because the guys from the U.S. are the girls, and the same people from the East Coast. We've got a few teams coming from Western Canada as well. And I'm happy to put them up against the best in Ontario, which I know everybody when they get here is going to be surprised about the talent that's here as well. So it's going to be huge. It really is going to be huge, and we're pretty excited about it.
An announcement that just came out this week at Peterborough Speedway, the change in the way they're going to do the Autumn Colors Classic. The crown jewel event of that weekend now is going to be Pro Lates combined with limited late models in the Electric City 167 JP. Some pretty big news there, and you and I talked earlier, kind of gives that weekend, which was really a marquee event in itself, now it gives it that marquee race during that weekend.
Yeah, it's something we've been working on, sort of been in the back burner for 2 or 3 years, and it's indicated just with the way the rules changed this year, following the line between the limited late/late models and the pro lates. I thought it sort of became time that we could combine the two divisions and make a marquee race. 167 laps, 67 being the year the Speedway was opened, and we're going to time trial the cars in, and it's going to be a 4-tire race. There's going to be some tire management involved in that, but trying to keep the cost in line, as well as, Daniel that carried out there. It's going to be a $5,000 to win race along with the lap sponsors, so they could potentially walk away with about $10,000 to win that race. And obviously going to make sure that anybody starting the race try to keep that end of the purse up also. But I think there's been a lot of positive reception to it. I think it's going to create a lot of excitement, a lot of strategies, and bring back something different to the autumn colors. It's 26 years running now, and you always got to keep moving ahead and building on what you have.
Now, the only guy on this panel that is a promoter for both a series and a racetrack, Kawartha Speedway. Dave Gameforth, you wear 2 hats during the summer. Talk about Kawartha and what a juggle that is to run at a track. It's only open a couple times a year, but the pleasure and the excitement that you must have in doing that and keeping that track alive.
Yeah, it's not easy to take a speedway that doesn't have a weekly fan following and just go in there and do a one-off. But last year we were very lucky. We pulled off 2 awesome events. We had good crowds. The car counts were up there, and the fans really responded. So we decided to do again this year with the 3 divisions. We're hosting the Legends, part of the Legends Nationals, Asphalt Nationals that they're having. They're expecting anywhere between 50 to 75 legend cars from across Canada and the States to be there for our event. And then the next night they go to Peterborough Speedway for the second half of that. So that's a huge thing. We're very lucky to be able to start our season this year on April 28th to help Sunset Speedway celebrate their 50th anniversary with the hot rods. So, which is pretty cool, because 50 years ago, what these race cars would look like when they first opened their gates. So I know the guys are all very excited about participating in that. We're very lucky to be part of all the major year-end specials, the Spring Velocity. We've been invited to Chicago twice this year with the mods and the hot rods. That's part of the Pinty's race, and the second one is the King of the Sprints race. And I was talking to Alex today about those sprint cars, and they sound totally crazy, 900 horsepower on that track. That's going to be something to see on its own. So, we got a lot of marquee events. The Kawartha things, I'm very proud to be able to do that, and I'm pretty happy with myself for pulling those events off. It's not easy, and it really gives you a good appreciation what these guys go through each and every week to put the show on for their fans. So.
When you see some of these cars that are rolling out for the hot rod division, I know we've touched base on this already, but I know Brad Martin posted their car out there with the Superbird, and man, you see that really grabs you, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. You stand back, it really grabs your attention, and the cars that are being built out there now, I had somebody tell me today that they're looking to build an Edsel car, which I think would be really cool. There's a gentleman out of Owen Sound who's building a Nomad station wagon, because we're about the only group that allows the station wagons to race with us. So the wide variety from Dodge to Ford to Chev, bodies and cars that are coming, it's amazing. Like the Superbird or Super B that's out there now, it's 100% Dodge. Like he's got a Dodge motor in there. So if you're a definite Dodge Mopar fan, you can definitely pull for that guy.
Now we'll move over to Clinton here with a question in just a moment, but we're going to open it up. If anyone has any questions for any of our promoters, the guys will have the microphones. I'll give you a few minutes here to just think of some questions. We'll turn it over to Clinton Jeffrey, and this off-season, let's go to the positives first and go with the Action Sprint Tour announced for the Crate Sprint Car Division, which, like you said, just came on the scene here in the last 5 years. So many cars and so many interests from the track, it seemed like a no-brainer to start up a touring series.
Yeah, I think it was Glenn and I, we went and watched them race at Humberstone there at the end of last season. There were 20 cars, and they just threw like a one-off crate sprint car race, and we realized pretty soon that we had built that division, had all those cars, we worked on the rules, so it was important to kind of put our arms around it and keep it in-house to make sure. I don't know how many times we've talked about it here, but we've seen somebody else wants to run the division, they decide to run a different carburetor, a different rear end, and now we've split this great thing into 2. So we really want to make sure we kept our arms around it, kept it as one. And as the crate division grew, we found more people coming in, like for example, DJ Christie and the guys from the asphalt world in this, where they were used to racing 2-3 nights a week. So if we didn't give them an option, we possibly lost them, or they were going to get bored or find something else to do. So to be able to reach out to the 4 other dirt tracks in Southern Ontario, Brighton, South Buxton, Merrittville, Humberstone, have them all agree to put together a series that I think is very cost effective compared to the Southern Ontario Sprints or the Empire, or even what we pay on a regular Friday-Rush weekend. You're less than $5,000 for the promoter. That's going to pay out a full field of 40 cars, include fire response, tech, announcers, and race director. I mean, that kind of budget is very hard to find when you get to top-level motorsports, and I think the fact that We've got 45 cars. If half of them come out, we're going to have a successful tour. We've got about 25 have indicated they already want to follow the race. So it's 3 races at Oshweekon we've dedicated and 7 outside. So it's not a ton for you to go to. 1 trip to Buxton and 1 trip to Brighton. And we got some extra payout programs we're working on there to help with travel costs. But I think the big thing there, Greg, is the cost factor of the motor. You know, a regular sprint car, you're looking around 25,000 Canadian for an average motor, let's say. Steyer's, who's walking out the back, I should let him get a couple more steps. Let's say they've got about 40,000 US in the Roush Ford, so that's crazy numbers. When you look at a crate motor converted to run with the Action Sprint Tour or GMC Strickland crates, you're looking at 8,000 complete for a brand new, never been run motor. That's crazy from carb to headers, and I think that's really helped everybody get in. The other thing I've seen it do is bring down the middle age, you know, or the average age of the group. When your engines cost $50,000 to get out and compete, you're not going to put your kid in that. Now we've got someone like Liam Martin who's got in our booth. The kid was 14. Josh Hansen, our rookie year last year, had to wait until he turned 14. He had a car sitting there. Once he turned 14, he was able to race. So I think it's good for the sport. We've got a lot of younger age coming in. The other thing that I promoted to these guys in pitch when we tried to pitch the Action Sprint Tour to the other promoters like Mark and like Maryville and Humberstone and Buxton is you're getting the freshest group of young dirt drivers that nobody's seen. No offense to the SOS, but they've had the same crew of guys for a long time. These are fresh, 20 new drivers. Not only have they never raced at your track, they probably never even been there to watch anything at your track. So we'll bring you fresh blood, fresh money, and a cost-effective tour that I think is going to be massive by the time the summer's out. And to keep it at 10 races, so you don't have to dedicate your whole summer, give up all your vacation time. You race a few more times than you normally would on Oshweekon, and you're going to have a good point fund. So we're very excited about the Action Sprint Tour, and we're going to have some new marketing partner announcements coming out real soon.
Now from that positive to the thing that gave you an ulcer in the off-season, the elephant in the room, the parking issue at Oshweekon Speedway, it caused the postponement of the World of Outlaws. Thankfully this week announcing that the Canadian Sprint Car Nationals are now back on. We'll talk about what an off-season that had to be for you.
Well, I've told the story 3,000 times this morning, I think already today. The basic gist of it is all our parking and camping was leased from Glenn's uncle. Well, Uncle Morley passed away in September and his kids are not interested in leasing the land of the Speedway anymore. So we've effectively lost pretty much every parking space we had at the Speedway. Thankfully, Glenn is successful in his other businesses. He was able to go out and buy land on the other side of the Speedway. So yeah, we are in the process of constructing a new camping. But just like anything, controversy and problems, if you've got the right mindset, can turn into a positive. And I think we're going to have a nicer parking lot than we've ever had. Our camping should be a lot nicer than it's ever been. It's really nice back there. There's streams and creeks, and it's really going to be a picturesque place, but it's going to cost $500,000 to do right now, and we did have that done by May. So the problem is when you bring an event like the Outlaws were last year, where we had 10,000 people there, our biggest event ever, we were sardining them in there as it was. So now when we lose 20 acres, you're really in a bit of a jam there. We couldn't commit the $225,000 that we cost to put on to risk maybe not having enough room to make the money back. So Glenn said, let's just postpone them both, see where we are. We had to get our printing deadline for this show, so we were able to push. We agreed we'll get the Nationals into September, which to me was the big carrot in the room, because that was our event that we built. We can book the Outlaws anytime we want. So it'll be a year off from the Outlaws. We're already targeting negotiations for 2019. And I think this small blip in the road is going to be a lot smaller than it seemed even a week ago. Now that we've got the Nationals back, and I think car counts are up, we've got fan counts up, sponsors are up. So other than losing the Outlaws, we're still in a fantastic position at Oshweekon right now.
All right, we got any questions out there? If anyone has a question, let our gentleman here know. Just wave your hand to him, and you can present a question to any of the panelists here. But we'll keep moving along and talk to Gord Bennett. Gord, it seems every time I go on social media, and we'll get to the question here in just a minute, but Gord, every time I go on social media, something new at Full Throttle Motor Speedway. In 5 years you've been there, it's like every week something new is rolling out. You've transformed that place from a track that I really enjoyed going to. I mean, it had a lot of old character, but you've really brought it up to standards.
Well, there was a lot of work to be done when we bought it. First of all, I really want to thank Johnsonville for the stage. I know all the promoters up here really appreciate what Johnsonville's done and gives us the opportunity to showcase what we do up here. So as far as the Speedway, yeah, we're always trying to do new stuff. You have to keep fresh. You have to. It's like a race car. I always tell people, a racetrack and a race car are the same. You got to keep working at it. You got to keep innovative, and it's like you have to keep in the lead. So if people are following what you're doing sometimes, and it's helping the sport or whatever, and not all the stuff that I think about or what we do at the Speedway is new. It's just you take a bunch of ideas and come up with something that's better. Right now we're doing like an amusement rental carts and mini golf and a bunch of stuff like that. It's just because the property has that potential, and you can't rely on one night of racing. We're up here. We got 20 nights a year to make money, and it depends on the weather. So last year we had some rain right at race time, and we're always battling that, and we're always moving forward. But you always have to look at new potential. So we brought in a truck show. This is the second year for the truck show. And what it does is it brings in people that might not have seen racing before. And that's what we try and do. We try and bring, instead of bringing the people that already know about racing, you gotta bring people that maybe don't know of our facility. And if they come to our facility and they might live somewhere else, they'll go to another race. We're just introducing them to stuff that they might not be aware of. And so, you know, we got the truck show, and we're bringing in wrestling this year. We got pro wrestling coming. And they're gonna bring cage matches, all kinds of stuff. It's exciting because now they're going on tour, and you see Full Throttle Motor Speedway at the ring, and it's a big event for them because it's a big showcase. So that's good. Anytime that you can always present what we're trying to sell, which is stock car racing, to new people, that's always a good thing. And it helps everybody on the table, not just what we do. So I just feel if you have a good product, and if people come back the next week, then you've done your job. And if they don't come back, it's because you maybe didn't do something that you were supposed to do, or you know, obviously it's like every other restaurant, every other business, whatever in the world. You know, if you do a good job, then they'll come back, and that's what we continue to do. And we continue to, you know, we put a campground in, we put services in because we felt that some people need to come every week. Like if they're campers, they're coming to race. If their wife is happy and they're in their camper, it's part of racing. Like the kids, we have a bouncy zone and all kinds of stuff. Like they run around. It's I looked at McDonald's. Like they got play zone. And there's a reason why kids go to McDonald's. So we have it at our speedway, and the people and the kids go, hey, I want to go there, and they drag the parents with them. So it's you know, we always have to be inventive on ways to showcase what we're trying to do, which is stock car racing.
All right, we'll go to our question.
First off, I want to thank everybody for all the hard work that they do for us racers in the country. It's really good to see everybody on the same page. And I just have a question. I come from a pretty diverse racing background myself, and talking to a lot of people at the show, everyone wants to dip their feet into different types of racing, whether it be asphalt or dirt. You guys working all together so well, I wonder, is there a division maybe in talks of maybe allowing guys to get in a series where they can run asphalt and dirt together? Is that something that's maybe in the works, or no?
I mean, I'll speak for the dirt tracks first off. Well, Mark, maybe you should jump in because Dave and Mark are doing that with the Hot Rod series, right? So that you guys can probably talk about it better than we can. How'd that work out?
Well, I know the asphalt guys, they were real nervous going to Brighton the first time because they didn't know what to expect. Not one of them had ever turned a lap on dirt. And when you go to a dirt track, it's not like an asphalt track where you get 4 hours of practice. You get about 4 or 5 laps and it's time to race. So Mark and I had pre-talked about it, and they kept the track pretty dry that night. So time it came to our feature time, it was almost like asphalt out there. But the cross promotion, I think really worked. It introduced our Oscar people to a whole new venue that they probably didn't know existed or never been there before. And I think I picked up some fans from Brighton Speedway that would come to our shows when it was open. So I know this year, guys are nervous. They're really excited about going. Last year, guys actually stayed home because they didn't know what to expect. They hear about this crick on the back straightaway. Well, I don't want to fall in crick. I don't want to go over the end. And I don't want to get dirty. Well, it's all part of it, right? But they all had a good time. And Tyler, he actually won with pavement tires on his car. So showed that we didn't have to put dirt tires on to succeed. So I think it was successful. Mark, he came back. We only brought 6 cars, I think, last year, or 5 cars. It wasn't a great car count, but he's in it, and we're trying again this year. And I think this year we'll have probably 15 to 18 cars there. So I think it's really working for us.
Yeah, in all, it was a good show. It wasn't a ton of cars, but that didn't really matter. At the end of the day, it was something different. It was nostalgic. It was part of our 50th anniversary celebration, so what better way to have old race cars there? So that was one thing, but I think that the working together, it goes a lot, even before the Hot Rod Series racing on dirt. I've been working with Dave for years. Whenever he had races at Corth or in the area, he'd bring cars down and put them on display. And same thing that when he had races at Corth, he'd bring dirt cars up there. And Dave actually tried a few years ago at Corth to run dirt late models on the pavement. And it was successful. It was a good event. I think the tire bills, because the guys are still running their dirt tires, the tire bills kind of scared guys away. But it was a good event. It was same thing. Not a ton of cars, probably 9 or 10 cars. And they put on a good race, and they gave the fans something different to look at it, and they gave the dirt drivers a different perspective. I think there's definitely more options out there and more stuff to do. And I think it's going to come out of cooperation. We've seen over the last few years. It's just going to continue to grow. And I think we're going to be successful.
Any other questions? Not everybody all at once. This is your big chance. Big chance to ask a promoter any question you want. We'll keep on motoring through here. We'll start with Brian at the end. And what we want to do now, we've looked at what happened last year. We've talked about some of the big news notes over the off season. Let's talk about 2018. As a promoter, you're obviously partly crazy, right? You have to be crazy to be a racetrack promoter. Is that right? Would everybody agree with that? Yeah. Oh yeah, okay. When it looks iffy and it looks like it's going to rain.
I would say you don't have to be crazy to be a promoter like me. You have to be crazy to be an owner and hold the purse strings like those guys.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're playing with someone else's money. I didn't say you had to be 100% crazy, but...
He just left the building, by the way.
But obviously there's a part of you that just loves racing. And as the promoter, but also as a fan of the sport, what are each of you looking forward to the most in 2018 at your home track? We'll start with Brian.
You know what I think? I think what I miss the most, obviously, is racing, but I really love the fans. The fans come, they make my day. They really do. They come in and they're like my family. They're lined up early before we open. I've got people planting flowers, doing the front of my speedway to, helping me if I'm visiting my concessions. They just jump in and help, and it's become something that obviously these gentlemen up here have been in this business longer than I have, and I really enjoy it to the point where actually I'm moving towards Barrie. I sold my house and I'm gonna live up there, so I love it that much. So it's fun. I really love it.
Now, Gary, you're not the promoter. You're an announcer. So, I mean, you and I know there's not a whole lot on the line for us. As long as the money's there at the pay window at the end of the night, we're happy, right? But as an announcer, you're genuinely a fan. I know I am first. I'm a fan of the sport. And you would just enjoy going to the racetrack. And I always look at the schedule and say, oh, I can't wait for this one. There's also some nights where I think, oh boy, I can't wait till that one's over. But what are you looking forward to at Flamborough in 2018?
Well, I grew up at Flamborough. 3 years old, probably running around the grandstands, doing all that. I actually remember when this kid right here was born, Pete Shepard, and him running around Flamborough Speedway. I get so freaked out. I'm not really a promoter for John, but I've talked more to him over the holidays and the off season than I have to my own family. I like to call him and just keep him. He's up and down and all around, but I'm trying to keep him on task and on par with things to do. And we helped him with the schedule. Me and Doug Leonard, we tried to sit down. We tried to make a schedule that would work. What I'm looking forward to is our first Flamborough Speedway Stock Car Nationals. There's been some guys there in the super stocks. It's $1,500 to win. Mini stocks $1,000 to win. Pure stocks $1,000 to win. Now our pure stocks and mini stock guys have gone off, and they said, "Hey, you know what? We're going to sell the laps." So our mini stock class right now for that first race, just the mini stock, the purse is $10 grand. If you finish dead last, you get $350. You're going home. You know, Clinton Jeffries from Oswego said, "Hey, I'll throw $200 at that for the first guy that has an Oswego driver's card. The guy that crosses the start-finish line, or the girl." A bunch of people have all said, the first woman that crosses the line, I'll throw $150 at. So it's becoming a big deal, those events. And I'm hoping, Rich Schwarzenberg has done a lot for the pures, or for the mini stocks. He put out an intent to race for that first one, and he had 55 mini stock guys call back and say, "We're coming," for 30 spots. So hopefully we pull that many in, and they're on Sundays. We try to not conflict with anyone. And from what I've learned in the last 5 years of being at Flamborough, and the guys that have helped me to do what I'm doing here today, is like Al, this guy here, Alex Nagy, Clinton Jeffries, Adam Ross, Rob Howden, all those guys said, "Hey Gary, if you're passionate about it, dig in, dig deep, and show John." And John trusts me now. He's like, lets me run with it a bit. I found there's some new things coming to Flamborough in the pits that we are going to put in some pit pads. We're going to put in some lighting. We're going to, little things that he's been hesitant to do, that all of a sudden he's like, "You know what? You're right. That's what we need to do. That's where we need to go. That's the next step." So it's just making the comforts better at Flamborough. And, you know, sooner or later we won't have porta potties and we'll have a nice bathroom for everyone, but that's to come in time, right? Like, but guys are seeing it. You look at our pro late model division right now, we have 22 guys that have registered. 2 of the biggest hitters are coming. J.R. Fitzpatrick is running full time, and Mike Bentley. Who thought that Mike Bentley would ever come back to Flamborough Speedway? Who thought that J.R. Fitzpatrick would come full time to race at Flamborough Speedway? Against Chenoweth, against Billy Schwarzenberg, against all the guys that have been there forever. David Elliott's coming back to race with his dad. His dad's in his 50th year of racing. They're going to split a ride. I heard they're looking at another car. So there could be potentially 2 Elliott's back racing again. That's what draws me to Flamborough. Like, for those of you who don't know, I am a school teacher. And tomorrow, we're on March break. Next week, I'm spending 3 days at Flamborough Speedway. Doing what? I don't know yet, but we're going. And we're talking to John and trying to get things through. But I think our schedule works really well. The guys on the board here that John was involved with, we've all worked at trying to make the schedules decent so no one's overlapping. And that's what we need to do. And that's going to pull Pete Shepard back to come and play with us. It's going to pull these guys to come and play at Jacassa, play at Gord Bennett's track at Full Throttle, to play. That's what we need them to do. We need them to go to these tracks and come back and say, "Hey, let's try this." That's what we need to do. One guy has a good idea, he has a good idea, we might try it, not work. It's the same what Gord says. And Gord is another guy that helped me a lot at the beginning. He said, "Gary, try these things, try this." Okay, we try it, it kind of works. Oh, it worked really well. Thanks, Gord. Or, "Hey, you owe me a beer," or something like that. But it's, Flamborough's coming, and I think we're working on it. It's going to be challenging, but we keep coming. We'll see what happens. I just get excited about the King of the Hills. They're a lot of fun. I stole John's golf cart one year. Tried to race it, they wouldn't let me.
You should go one-on-one with Frank's.
Oh,
Golf cart race.
yeah. He'd probably wreck me, Dave.
There'd be licorice all over the track.
All over the track. Licorice and candy. Sorts all over the place.
Alex, with a track that runs special events, it's got to be hard to be excited about one in particular, I'm sure.
Yeah, it is. We're excited about it. We have 6 events over 5 weekends. Labor Day, like I said, is 2 events in one. And like everybody says, it's about the fans. You know, we try to make it, try to have a variety of different things. Plus also include local divisions from limited league models from Sunset and Sabo. We'll have them for the first time there in September 29th. We'll have, as Dave indicated, the All-Star Modifieds. Oscar Hot Rods, we have Pro Late Models and Super Stocks. So we're trying to make sure that we keep the local groups involved as much as we can. And again, credit to these guys for allowing us days where their divisions are open so that we can use them, because we don't have any divisions of our own. So it's been a lot of fun to put the schedule together this year. We have a big variety. We're having some things that haven't been either in Ontario or at our place for quite some time. So it's exciting, and we're trying to make everything as big as we can make it for each of the 5 weekends that we're open. So, and the good thing for me is you're hearing what everybody else up here is doing. I only have 5 weekends to race, so I get to go to see all these guys, their events, and watch their races. So I'm pretty lucky.
Gord, you're a racer at heart, obviously, and I'm sure there's lots on your schedule that get you excited coming into 2018.
Yeah, we actually lengthened our schedule a little bit. So we started the 5th of May. It's actually a special event, Spring Sizzler. And then we got a bunch of Saturday night racing through the summer, and then we race on the Sundays of the long weekends through the summer as well. And we did stuff a little different than the other speedways. We got July 27th, 28th, and 29th is our big weekend. It's like that truck show weekend. It seems to work in the summer, and then we're not really competing against the other guys for the playoff season, because you can't really slice it out and try and protect and they all want to go and do that and be part of everybody's stuff. And because we're a little later into it, we're not gonna, instead of fighting, try and work together. So ours is 27th, 28th, 29th, and we have a lot going on over the 3 days. An opportunity for cars at other tracks to maybe make the Sunday show or come and do some stuff there. So it's been good. We've had we gave away our pace car last year, and it was free with admission. You just sign out the information on the back, and the demographics and information that we got out there really gave us an idea of where we were gonna do our promotions this year. We did about 37 promotions this year, cruise nights all over the place with the car and different stuff, waving our hands in the air saying, hey, come and see us, and making sure that we were standing right there to answer the questions for what people, hey, where's the track, what's going on, all the information, and then we piggybacked with some of the sponsors that we have to be able to do that, and that worked out really, really good. So we had a really good idea of where people were coming from, and surprised the distance that people were coming to see our show. And we're doing it again this year. We haven't picked the car up yet, but so we're really trying to make our home track stars, the people who show up, or the ones that come in once in a while. The people, we don't really have as many outside special events. We have some stuff coming in, but we rely on the people that come and support us each and every week, and it works for what we're doing at our place. So we're excited about what's going on. We're always trying to improve. Like last year, we did all the washrooms all through the facility, and you just keep moving forward and asking people, hey, what would you really like to see at the Speedway, and we'll see what we can do to accommodate you. Handicap accessible, a big thing. Tailgatings through turn 3 and 4. You can bring your motorhome or your pickup truck and sit in there. There was like 300 or 400 people. There were 4 rows deep in the corner, just sitting and having a great time. Like you couldn't even get a spot, and that was just something different that you might not see. But it's a little amphitheater. It's a little Bristol of the North, and it's kind of contained, and it's a whole different thing than going to Ducasa and seeing like a big speedway, right? It's a little, it's excitement, and that's what we're selling, and we're really excited about what's going on moving forward. We built a house there, like we live on our property. We have a little bit of a different situation than maybe some of the other ones here, where everything at the speedway this is our livelihood. So I have to work 7 days a week on social media and doing all this stuff. I don't have another revenue source. So we work hard at it. Everybody, my wife, everybody on the team, we work as a group, and I'm very happy with the direction that the Speedway is going.
Yeah, I've stood up there in corner 3 at what was Varney at the time, and it's quite a view watching the cars come down that back straightaway.
And the speeds that are attained on that little track. And I think we're kind of lucky because you don't need as big a horsepower. There's a lot of driving and there's a lot going on in a short amount of time there. And I spent a lot of money last year. We bought a NASCAR blower system. And I constantly blown the track off to give the racers as much opportunity. And I put another lane and a half into the speedway. So, you know, the racing, instead of being, it gets, sometimes the asphalt gets the one groove idea where you get 2 laps and then you get in behind. And you know what, I'm selling stock car racing. So we built more grooves in the speedway by working hard. And, you know, if we get oil dry, we blow it off. We don't let them run it in. We do it all. We stop the cars in front straightaway and we're doing interviews. Hey, how's your car doing, JP? You know, stuff like that. Entertainment. We're in the entertainment business, and that's the angle that we go with our speedway.
JP, you've been busy this off-season racing, and at the same time you're trying to get ready for a new race season at your own track. Talk about what you're looking forward to, and all those balls you have to juggle to race and run a track.
Yeah, it's a few of them up in the air, but like you said earlier, I think all of us somewhat have to be crazy to get into this sport, and I started as a racer, and I still keep doing it because that sort of gives me the passion to keep doing everything we have to do every Saturday night to open the track up. Obviously, the announcement that came out with the Electric City 167 is something I'm looking forward to at the Autumn Colors, which is, you know, we're always looking forward to the Autumn Colors. I'm glad when it's over on the Monday, but then you start playing.
Get off my property.
That's basically it.
I wish the garbage would leave too, though. We added a couple different things. On the Canada Long Day weekend, we're doing, it's going to be called the Cottage Country Dash for Cash. It's a little on the same theme of what we did, our top 10 shootouts at the end of the year. Was a lot of excitement, so that's something we've added. And the Super Lates, they're going to be rebranded in the 75 laps event. They always put on one heck of a show at Peterborough. I just think, just once the gates open on May the 19th, that's the biggest thing I look forward to, is when all the hard work pays off and those stands are full and there's racing back on the track.
Dave, you probably travel the most amount of laps, or most amount of miles to get to all the races on your schedule, sometimes in 2 locations. What are you excited about? Are you still excited after all those miles?
Oh yeah, well, when I'm in my car, that's my time. There's no racers bothering me. I just got the radio on and enjoying myself. I'm just usually cursing myself on the drive home with how am I doing. Anyway, no, but each event that we do, I consider it a marquee event. Like for that promoter, we're coming in there as a cheering show. We're a big thing for them. They're paying us more money, so I feel that responsibility at every event to make sure I got the proper car count there, that we've done our promotion, make sure the fans are there, and to put on the best show that we possibly can for the entertainment dollar that their dedicated fans are paying. This year we're doing I'm doing something a little different at Court Speedway this year. I don't have a fancy name for it, but I'm going to pay for the modifieds. I'm going to pay first, second, and third all the same amount, and increase first probably $1,000 or a little more. Instead of giving the winner all the money, I like to spread it out and around. What we're doing for the hot rods, because we race at Court on the Friday night, and the very next night we do go to Brighton to race on the dirt. So if the same driver can win at Kawartha that wins at Brighton the next night, they're going to get an extra $500. If he can't pull that off, then I'm just going to divide the money among the top 5. You know, we're just trying to come up with different things to keep the fans excited and to keep the racers, you know, because the racers, they're traveling up and down the road just as much as I am. You know, each and every week, you know, to put the shows on. And there's some big money shows at Yokosuka. We're very fortunate Alex has worked with us to put that program together, and it's, you know, we were worried about the back-to-back weeks, but I think it's going to really work. The teams have really stepped up and embraced that idea, so we're just excited to get on that speedway just like every other race in Ontario. So, but no, we're really excited to put everything this year. I think everything's a marquee event for us, so we do our best each and every time we're at the racetrack.
Well, this past year is my first ever time going to an eve of destruction. I did it at Brighton Speedway. And as Mark said, they were turning fans away. They weren't letting any, that's how many fans were in the stands. The main event had cars 3 or 4 wide all the way around the track. So, and not a big purse to pay. So Mark, other than that one, what are you most excited about in 2018?
Similar to JP, opening night's always a big one for us. But I got a lot of friends and a team of people, like Gordon says, that helps me out through the whole month of April to get ready for that opening night and make sure that it rolls without a headache. And, we start at 7 p.m. sharp, and if we're a minute late, we're not giving somebody trouble. And we want to go home by 9:30 or 10 o'clock. And make sure that everybody goes home with a smile on their face. So opening night's a big night for us. Make sure it rolls, that it just goes smooth. And then that usually sets the tone for following weeks. So, all in all, we got a pretty solid schedule, I believe. We've added a couple of things. Clint's Action, Sprint Tour, our new late model series or mini series that we got going on with the other tracks, the cooperation. Apple Fest is another sort of special event. Greg, you've been involved with it since the beginning as one of the sponsors, and probably the guy that actually kind of kicked off that whole event. To see it grow from a one-day 315 show into what it is now, where we've got over 300 race cars, and we're having to use the local farmers' fields to park cars to get them in. And I even had to drive the shuttle bus. So it's a big weekend for us, and we just continue to try and grow that and come up with a bit of a new format this week where the heats and time trial and heats will be done in the afternoon, and the features will be done that evening, that night, on the Saturday, just because we have so much racing going on. So it's a big year for us to try that out and see if that works for us and the drivers, and see if everybody still supports it. Clint is giving away free beer at that weekend, putting it on his tab.
Look at Rob Pitts and all that. Free beer!
So
good timing.
So anyways, so that's one of our big weekends, and it's a great race weekend that brings out the best racers in all divisions, and pretty much every division on dirt races that weekend, and it's a good weekend. So all in all, we're looking forward to another great season, and like with the whole theme of today's panel here has been working with other tracks and collaborating and doing what we can do to grow the sport and be a part of it. So lastly, I just want to thank Motorama and Greg and Image Factor and the Johnsonville State for putting this on.
Well, Clint, you mentioned the other day, my dad puts a photo up every week and says, 9 weeks till test and tune, and you said, I love your dad, but I'm sick of seeing those because it's coming too quickly.
It's stressing me out.
You don't even have a parking lot yet, and you now have to build new admission booths on both sides and in the pits as well. Are you looking forward to anything this year?
Yes, but first, before we get there, I just want to touch on Apple Fest, because we talk about how much social media can kill racing. Apple Fest is probably the biggest social media racing success story years ago. Now, you can quickly tell the story. Greg was on Dirt Track Digest message board and said, hey, Apple Fest is a great track. We should run Dirt Sportsman or something there. Is that how it got started?
It went along the lines that everybody said, we need a big modified race in September again. There's no more big modified races in the area in September. And I think Greg started the thread, and a few other guys picked up on it. And next thing you know, we're scheduling a meeting with a bunch of drivers, and Greg and his dad and myself, and we picked a date. So Greg collaborated more. But yeah, that whole event started on social media. I was willing to take a risk. Greg was willing to help me organize it, and there were some drivers that committed to it. So the first race had how many cars, Greg? I think 18 or 20.
18, yeah.
But that was before social media. We were still calling it message boards.
This was on a forum that we got that started on.
When we still had control of what we could do. Now Facebook, anyone says we want, but that's probably the thing I'm looking forward to, Greg. We're going to make it. We have a great team at Osh Weekend. We have a great owner who bankrolls what we need to do. So we're going to be all right. We just need the time and the weather to get it done. And our team will roll with the punches. But the biggest thing I think I'm excited for at Osh Weekend is the way we've been using social media as a positive around there. So we're doing a live stream each week, and we're bringing in tons of new viewers there now. a lot of the promoters may wonder, well, how can we afford to give away our products? We've heard it from other tracks say, why would you just let people watch for free? Well, I think opening night when we had 23,000 views was the equalizer for the 50 people who might have stayed home, because now we've got target market. That's way better than a billboard that 1 million people may pass but never give a darn about. What you have is people on social media scrolling through Facebook, realizing there's racing, and the biggest thing we've got is, hey, where's that place? I didn't even know it existed. So I think that's the big thing we're looking forward to, is use all the technology we've got to try and make it work for us instead of against us. And for a lot of years, the tracks just kind of turn their blind eyes and, oh, Facebook's killing us, where we've seen it. But you've heard me talk in the drivers' meetings with our drivers. I'm begging them to work with us. Tweet your cars, promote it, and if you guys stay positive, we're going to turn it around. And then we saw people like Lucas Oil coming to us next year and saying, hey, I didn't see a lot of trouble on your social media. We love how your racers are supporting you. We want to be part of that. And I think that's a big deal, is the way we're managing our social media platform. And the live stream has been huge for us. We're going to continue to grow that. So that's what I'm most excited for. And to see how it all turns out, I guess, is going to be the interesting way. We have so much, basically a blank slate, and we have so much to build in 9 weeks, thanks to your dad reminding me that we're going to get there, but it's going to be tough, and we have a lot of work to do in our weekend, but we've overcome everything in 20 years. I don't see how this will hold us back at all.
Mark Dilley's so excited about 2018, he already left to go get started on the season. So Mark had to go, he had a call he had to take, but we're going to wrap things up here in just a moment. I'm going to do something that I did last year. I'm going to give you a topic and I want a one-word reply. We'll start with Brian on the end. Finish this sentence. 2018 at Sunset Speedway will be?
Awesome.
Gary at Flamborough.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
You win on length. First time ever, by the way.
My wife's not here. Hey, I just wanted to let you know that Flamborough Speedway opens up in 29 days, or 49 days, 29 hours, and 13 seconds.
One word. Alex, one word. 2018 at Jukasa will be?
New.
Gord.
Epic.
I knew that was coming up sooner or later. JP?
Thrilling.
Dave? Ass?
Amazing.
Mark?
Exciting.
I would say authentic.
Authentic. That was original. Good job. Well, I would say we've had a very positive promoters panel up here, and listening to these guys talk, that we're seeing promoters on the same page like we've never seen before in this sport. And I think car counts are up because of it. The excitement and the buzz around the sport is up because of it. And you don't see the fighting on social media anymore and the arguments. Everyone's kind of found their place, found their groove, and fit in well. And a big part of that has to go to these promoters that we see on the stage here tonight. So let's give them a round of applause and thank them for their time and all their efforts. So we thank you for coming here to the Johnsonville stage, and hope you enjoy the rest of the evening here at the show. On behalf of all the promoters here on the stage, my name is Greg Kelman saying so long, and we'll see you tomorrow night for the short track Night of Champions.